I've sat over 300 of what the market would call discovery calls, and in that time, I've developed a process to help me distinguish between what will be a perfect client and what is a time wasting, tire kicking numpty that only lives to sap on my time and energy. Now, there's three main questions that I want to ask. I want to get answered anytime a prospect comes my way, whether it's from my website, a referral, whether they've booked a call directly on the website. Three things that I want to figure out. Firstly, I want to figure out, can I help them? Next is, do I want to help them? And lastly, can and will they pay? And don't worry, in a second, I'm going to give you 9 little tick boxes that you can steal and deploy. So the next time a lead comes your way, you can tick all 9. And if they get ticks in all 9 boxes, you know you've got a potential perfect client in your hands. But if a prospect doesn't meet all 3 of these criteria, we stop the deal dead. We don't let it progress any further. And if we figure this out when they're already a client, well, then we refund their money and we let them go, because we only want to work with perfect clients, because perfect clients pay the most, stay the longest, and refer the most, and are a joy to work with. Why so harsh, Connor? 3 reasons. Look, if you can help them and you want to help them and they won't pay, you will be poor. It's that simple. If you want to help them and they can and will pay, but you can't actually help them, you will fail, and failing sucks and hurts your reputation. And if you can help them and they will pay, but you don't want to help them, you will be miserable. It's that simple. So, how do we figure out, can we help them? Do we want to help them? And if they'll pay, so we can avoid being poor, failing, and miserable? Well, as I said earlier, there's 9 tick boxes that we're looking out for. So the first tick box that I'm looking for is in, can we help them? The first thing I want to figure out is problem. Do they have a solvable problem? Sometimes problems are just problems with no solution and you just got to learn to live with it. Sometimes a prospect thinks they've got a problem, but it's not a problem at all. They're just looking at it wrong. So the first thing I want to figure out is, do they have a solvable problem? The next thing I want to figure out is time. Can it be solved within their required timeframes, and can I solve it within those required timeframes as per my budget, my availability, and my schedule? And lastly is skill. And really, this is asking, am I the best placed person to help them? I was once on a call with a prospect and they had a solvable problem, one that I could help with. I could have done it within the required timescales, but what I would be doing was kind of an extracurricular activity. I kind of figured out they just needed a really good accountant. So I sent them on their way. They got a big X and I stopped the deal dead and said, hey, I don't think I can help you. And that's exactly what you want to be doing here. You want to be getting a tick in problem, tick in time, and tick in skill. And once you've got a tick in all 3 of those, because 1 cross means you're out the door, buddy, we can move on to, do we want to help them? Now, the first thing that I'm looking out for here is ethics. Do their morals, their ethics, are they compatible with mine? So, for example, I won't work with a cigarette company. I won't work with people that are not willing to take responsibility for their own actions. So here I'm just looking for, are we a match? Are our morals aligned? If they get a tick here, I then move on to figuring out if I'll enjoy the work itself. Will I enjoy both the scope of the project in front of me, and will I enjoy working with the individual in front of me? If the answer is yes to both, they get a tick and I move on. And the last thing that I want to figure out is vision. And a lot of people discredit this one, but I think it's really important to not take on work that doesn't contribute to your longer vision towards the company, because otherwise I think you end up just chasing the money all the time, running down rabbit holes, and fundamentally, even though you're getting paid today, you're robbing yourself of a bigger payday tomorrow. So if there's a vision match, I move on, and we move on to pay. And now this is where a lot of people struggle, but really it's quite simple. There's, again, 3 things that you want to be looking out for. The first thing I want to establish is budget. No budget, no bueno, no working together. If they have the budget, I move on to, do they have the authority? If you work with larger companies and you have to deal with upper to middle management, you quickly find out that these so-called seemingly responsible and respectable people love to waste your time, and they say they've got the budget and they're not lying, but the problem is they don't have the authority to spend it. So I want to verify they've got the budget and the authority to spend it. And lastly, if they get a tick in both of those boxes, I move on to terms. It's their prerogative to pay you as little as possible and as late as possible. 90-day payment terms are an absolute no-go. It is your prerogative to get paid as much as possible and upfront as possible. So I want to make sure that there's a value match on terms, well, a real life match on payment terms. And if they get a tick in all 9 boxes, you know there's a pretty good chance there's a perfect client in front of you. And the cool thing about perfect clients is, instead of being poor, when you work with perfect clients, you have money, which is pretty important in a business. And instead of failing, you get to have impact, because you are helping the people that you can help best. And that is how you build a world-class business and a world-class reputation. And lastly, instead of being miserable and not wanting to get out of bed and hating it the minute you open your eyes in the morning, you actually have energy. You're excited to work with your perfect clients because you're making good money and you're having good impact, which ultimately results in you having lots and lots of energy. So the next time that you get a new inquiry, make sure that they tick all 9 of these boxes. Otherwise, stop the deal dead. And if they do get a tick in all 9 boxes, then work your ass off to close the deal, because there's a pretty good chance there's a perfect client sat in front of you. All the best.